Britain is, shock horror, not a hateful country. We are not a nation of racist bigots, and that now is a fact. The latest hate crime figures are in, and recorded hate crimes are down 5%. Race-related hate crimes are down 6% year on year. For a long time, a lot of ordinary people have been looking at legacy media outlets or Twitter and wondering, what is this unwelcoming, divided, racist country that you're describing? Because that's not what I see. Indeed, you'd be forgiven for wondering why, if we really are that bad, it seems like the vast majority of the world would like to come and live here. It absolutely cracks me up when Tory MPs said multiculturalism had failed. And then the race baiters who try to divide us all the time suddenly piped up to say what a wonderfully integrated and loving nation we actually are. They obviously didn't realise their desire to simply disagree with anything a Tory Home Secretary has to say fundamentally shattered their arguments about how unwelcoming and bigoted Britain is. Then you factor in that we've had massive increases in people from ethnic minority backgrounds coming to Britain and rapid population growth in general, which means, quite simply, we have more ethnic minorities than ever before and more people in general than ever before. And yet hate crimes are going down. That really doesn't suit their narrative, does it? There are areas where certain hate crimes are apparently going up. Transphobia, for example. Now, I've got to be honest, I do treat that with a massive pinch of salt, I'm afraid. Very often, women who simply don't want men in their changing rooms or bathrooms are called transphobic. People who don't want children to be transitioned and put on puberty blockers are called transphobic. Now, if these people are being reported to the police and the police are recording those incidents, then I'm sorry, but that, to me, is not an increase in genuine transphobia. I would also point to the fact that there are pretty much entire continents where being trans is essentially a death sentence. So you compare that to Britain, where we'd happily let a trans person dance in front of kids. Now, apparently, religious-based hate crimes are up 9%. A couple of points on this. In 22% of recorded religious hate crimes, the religion was not known, which just made me wonder slightly how on earth you can record that as a religious hate crime, but there we go. I would also politely remind people that there is an increasing number of incidents between different ethnic communities. We saw clashes between Hindus and Muslims in Leicester, for example, or anti-Semitic incidents carried out by men of Middle Eastern appearance in London. My point here is that just because we see religious incidents going up, that does not necessarily mean that hate-filled, lager-swilling, gammony-faced white men are shouting at Muslims in the street. It does make me laugh when there's a protest about a migrant hotel and anti-fascists or the Refugees Welcome Brigade, they bust themselves in from somewhere miles away to be confronted by the reality of the situation, which is usually just a few locals, one bloke called Colin and his wife, and the people who have lost their jobs at that hotel to make way for the Channel migrants, who are just a bit worried about the situation. They tend to be the ones bringing the hate, not Colin and co. Even when it comes to people's political beliefs, we're tolerant. Look at arch Remainer Steve Bray. I mean, he literally spends his time shouting abuse at people through a megaphone or turning up at events and heckling people. And to my knowledge, I don't think anyone's ever actually beaten him up, have they? And rightly so. There will be loads of people who are actually really disappointed at these hate crime figures because they are race-baiting grifters who thrive off the cottage industry of stoking racial tensions in this country and portraying it as an awful place. Yes, there are issues. There are genuine racists and bigots out there, but they are in decline. Actually, Britain is bloody lovely. It always has been, and it always will be.